Epstein docs. They dropped last night. There more are coming, and they did not disappoint. Now, the Trump-appointed federal judge, this woman right here, Loretta A. Preska, God bless this woman. Protect her at all costs. She has unsealed 943 pages in the case that originally convicted Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, we're still combing through all this and verifying a lot of it, but the key takeaway for me, pure irony. The whole reason this became a story was in an attempt to take down Donald Trump in 2015. Turns out, from the depositions of the main plaintiff, Virginia Giuffre, the transcript reads, and the question was asked a number of times above this in this page and over previous pages, quote, did you give a massage or engage in sexual contact with, in relation to Donald Trump? The answer was definitively no. It was asked point blank, did you ever massage Donald Trump? No. Whoops. The only 4 mentions of him in the nearly 1,000 pages of this release is testimony exonerating him, and then one time about Jeffrey Epstein trying to call him to get a room at one of his hotels in Atlantic City at the casino. Now, Donald Trump disassociated with Epstein more than 2 years before there was ever any public allegation or investigation into him for anything. But by opening these floodgates, there are a lot of very powerful people that thought that they were going to get away with everything, not being named in any association with Jeffrey Epstein. That dream, though, with these docs ended, thankfully. Look, it's important to note that I'm reporting on what's been said in depositions under oath. And because of the gravity and the influence of the people named and listed yesterday, we have to address this with a level of tact, of course. Any network should. But I'm reporting on what has been unsealed in these documents. I'm not making allegations. I'm calling it how I see it. All these names, there are too many to list here, folks. It's not that we're afraid, it's just there's too many to list. They're all publicly available, and I encourage you to go read these documents. They are absolutely everywhere. My next guest, Alan Dershowitz, is mentioned in there. However, it's important to note that he received an apology in a settlement for mistaken identity regarding any misconduct. He was Jeffrey Epstein's attorney. He makes an interesting appearance in there. It's also important to note that he's been one of the loudest voices calling for transparency in all of these issues because he has nothing to hide. And you're going to hear from him in a sec. Look, the first public allegations against Jeffrey Epstein were in 2005, and then he was charged in 2006. Yes, he got a sweetheart deal that probably nobody else in the world would have gotten, but that's when he became a convicted sex offender. Anything after that, people knew exactly who this guy was. He was a registered sex offender that brushed shoulders with some of the most powerful people even after his conviction. But you know why this is important to me? Especially to me as someone who, as a child, suffered an instance of sexual abuse. Because this is about us versus them. The standards that all of us normal people have to live by, what would happen to us if we did those things, versus those that the rich, the powerful, the famous, and the DC elite, what they are held to. This is important because all of these people thought they could get away with this, especially after Epstein's, let's just call it a suspicious death. Now the real battle begins. These documents are a fantastic starting point. They need to be further investigated, though. And some people may need to go to jail. And good on the Miami Herald for trying to get these documents. They're the ones who originally sued to get these things exposed and given to the public. But we need to dig and dig and dig some more. I want the same degree of scrutiny applied to anybody on this list that was applied to Donald Trump. His home was raided at Mar-a-Lago. He was investigated by independent counsels up and down with no evidence to do it, by the way. He was impeached for a phone call for asking about something that we now know that Joe Biden actually did. Anyone around Donald Trump had their phones seized, some had their homes raided, and lives ruined. This story was brought to light to destroy Donald Trump, and it backfired. And now that it's exposing a long list of other people, nothing. Barely a breath of it on nearly any network. Some of these networks with hosts and guests and executives that knew Jeffrey Epstein, probably knew what he was about. And they're going to make and try to use this story. They were going to try to use this to make Trump so unpalatable in 2016 that he was unelectable. And it backfired. Well, the shoe is on the other foot now. Is it too much to ask that that same level of scrutiny that they were trying to apply to Donald Trump be applied to these people, especially considering what we know now? We're talking about someone, well, 2 people actually, one who's still alive, who trafficked children, underage minors, and passed them around to rich and powerful men. When are we going to see some justice on this?